What if the very thing you're chasing is slipping further away because you're chasing it? What if your desire, whatever it may be, isn't lost, isn't delayed, and isn't being denied, but is simply reacting to your state of mind? Neville Goddard once said, "Change your conception of yourself and you will automatically change the world in which you live." Yet most people hear that and still run after what they want as if it lives outside of them. There is a secret, a hidden engine behind all success and manifestation. It's not effort, it's not hustle, it's not even positivity, it's assumption. And unless you understand how assumption works, not just intellectually, but emotionally, you'll continue to seek, struggle, and feel stuck. But once this clicks, the game changes. You stop trying to pull your desires toward you and begin letting them unfold naturally. Think about this. Have you ever noticed how things seem to come easily to people who don't obsess over them? The one who's relaxed often receives more than the one who's constantly chasing. This isn't coincidence. It's a law of mind. It's the silent truth embedded in every one of Neville's lectures and writings. You don't manifest by force. You manifest by identity, by becoming in consciousness who you already desire to be. In today's video, we're going to uncover why the act of chasing kills your ability to manifest, and how Neville Goddard's timeless technique of living in the end sets you free from the endless loop of waiting and hoping. You'll learn the real reason why letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means rising into your true power. We'll explore the invisible mechanism behind assumption, and how when you truly dwell in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, reality bends quietly to your inner state. This isn't about wishful thinking. It's about psychological law. Neville taught that imagination is the creative force of the universe, not in some abstract way, but in direct, personal experience. The man who imagines himself wealthy, loved, successful, and confident without contradiction or doubt becomes that man. Not because the world rewards him, but because the world reflects him. He doesn't have to chase anything. His state brings it. So ask yourself right now, what are you chasing? And what would happen if, instead of running after it, you assumed it was already yours? What if you stopped talking about becoming and simply started being? Stay with me through the end of this video, because I'm going to show you how to shift your identity from the one who needs to the one who has, from seeking to radiating, from waiting to knowing. These are not just concepts. They are practices you can apply every single day to completely rewire your mindset and behavior. We'll dive into lesser-known aspects of Neville's teachings, those quiet but powerful moments when he revealed the subtle nature of the imagination and its role in creating your reality. Moments that most people overlook. You'll discover how to make this shift, not with stress, but with calm, not through action, but through alignment. And more importantly, I'll walk you through how to persist in your assumptions silently, without needing signs, permission, or validation. Because when you understand that your belief is the evidence, you no longer chase it, chases you. Welcome to Ignis Mindset, where we break down the most transformative mindset principles inspired by Neville Goddard and turn them into practical tools for daily life. If you're ready to stop chasing and start receiving, if you're ready to drop the need for proof and live from inner conviction, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button, join this growing community of inner architects, and stay with us as we uncover the real secret behind lasting success. It's not out there, it's in you, and it always has been. Before we talk about the beauty of allowing, we must first understand the subtle but powerful energy of chasing. Chasing is not about movement, it's about mindset. It's the silent message behind your thoughts that says, I don't have it yet. I need it. I'm not complete without it. That emotional signal radiates lack, and the world, being a mirror, reflects that back. Neville Goddard often spoke of the truth that desire fulfilled exists in the assumption that it's already done. But when you chase something from a state of desperation, your inner world screams separation. You imagine the thing you want as something distant, something you must fight for, something withheld. And so it continues to elude you, not because it's not meant for you, but because you've not yet claimed it in consciousness. Desperation doesn't just repel results. It clouds the mind, creates tension, and feeds the illusion that you must prove yourself. That illusion is the trap. Neville would say, to the pure, all things are pure. In other words, when your internal world is aligned, the external has no choice but to follow. But if you're constantly affirming that you don't yet have what you want, through your worry, your impatience, your constant seeking, you're creating more delay. The psychology of neediness is deeply rooted in self-concept. A person who needs to manifest a result to feel worthy is building their identity on conditions. But Neville didn't teach conditional transformation. He taught identity-based transformation. You become what you believe you are, not what you try to achieve. So long as you view your desire as something outside of you, you're disempowered. This is why Neville said, dwell in the state as though it were already true. Not because the state magically changes the world, but because you change, and from that new identity, the world shifts in response. Now consider the energy of allowing. Allowing is not passive, it's powerful. It says, it is done. I do not chase because I already own it within. This energy isn't loud, it doesn't broadcast itself, it doesn't seek reassurance. It sits still and firm in the assumption of truth. In that stillness lies immense power. Neville emphasized that imagination fulfilled is the only true effort, not physical effort, not force, not manipulation of circumstances, but a quiet inner alignment. He spoke of going into the silence, of withdrawing from the world of facts and appearances, and entering into the feeling of the wish fulfilled. In that internal space, you plant the seed. And just as you would not dig up a seed every day to check if it's growing, you don't need to constantly check if your desire is manifesting. Stillness is misunderstood. Many people think stillness is inaction. But in Neville's world, stillness is the state of consciousness that says, I no longer argue with what I've accepted. It is an inner confidence that allows circumstances to align without personal interference. You've likely experienced this in real life. Think of the times something you deeply wanted came to you only after you stopped obsessing over it. Maybe it was a message from someone. Maybe it was a job, an opportunity, or a breakthrough. You let go, not because you gave up, but because you got tired of the strain. And in that moment of release, it arrived. That is not a coincidence. That is the spiritual law in motion. What you stop chasing often finds its way in, because the space you leave in letting go becomes an invitation. This is why Neville taught living in the end. It's not about forcing yourself to visualize the outcome with clenched fists. It's about softening your internal world to such a degree that the desire becomes natural. It feels familiar. It no longer excites you with anxiety. It becomes part of you. There's a difference between imagining success and dwelling in success, between seeing it and being it. Many people visualize their goals like watching a movie. They see themselves winning, but their emotional body still feels like a spectator. That's not living in the end. That's observing the end. Neville's analogy is simple, but profound. The state of consciousness is the true cause. If you believe you are poor, no matter how much money comes, you'll act poor. If you believe you are unloved, even the deepest affections will feel hollow. But if you believe you are whole, worthy, abundant, and supported, your reality must eventually mirror that belief, often in ways you could never predict. When you truly embody your desired identity, you stop checking, you stop chasing, and you stop needing evidence. You live from the end because you trust the root and not just the fruit. You understand that your consciousness is the soil, and whatever you assume to be true, the soil accepts without question. So the shift is not from wanting to having, but from wanting to being. You no longer try to manifest. You recognize that manifestation is simply the echo of your dominant state. There is no need to beg. There is no need to fall. There is only a need to remember who you truly are. and act from that remembrance. Let it come to you. Let it unfold in perfect timing. Let your inner world speak so clearly that the outer world simply listens. This is Neville's invitation to stop running and start resting in the knowing. Not passive, but deliberate. Not inactive, but undisturbed. Because when you assume, persist, and trust, the chase ends. And reality follows. Persistence without effort is one of the most misunderstood principles in Neville Goddard's teachings. People often associate persistence with struggle, with constant affirmations, endless repetitions, and emotional exhaustion. But Neville's concept is far more elegant and powerful. He did not teach persistence through loud effort, but through silent conviction. It is not the volume of your declarations that matters, but the depth of your belief. When Neville spoke of feeling it real, he wasn't referring to emotional intensity alone. He meant a quiet inner knowing, a saturation of the imagination, so complete that it no longer needs to be shouted. You simply know, and from that knowing, you persist. Not outwardly, not through trying to make it happen, but inwardly, by returning again and again to the state of the wish fulfilled. This kind of faith does not demand. It does not rush. It does not pressure life into compliance. Faith is still. It acts without urgency because it already possesses what it assumes. To persist inwardly means to carry your assumption as if it were a treasured secret, one that needs no explanation, no justification, no external validation. You wear it like skin. This is the shift Neville emphasized, from lack to ownership. When you desire something and ask, will I get it? You're confessing separation. You're affirming its distance. But when you declare within, it's already done, you step into the role of the one who has, and consciousness only reflects what you are, not what you seek. The one who waits is always waiting. The one who assumes possession inwardly finds the world conforming to that assumption. Persistence means holding the state despite what facts may say. Neville was clear that appearances are nothing but shadows, echoes of previous beliefs and thoughts. They do not define your current reality unless you allow them to. The outer world is always trailing behind your consciousness. So if what you see does not yet reflect what you desire, do not be discouraged. The delay is not denial. It is the unfolding, the time it takes for the world to align with your newly claimed identity. This is where the mental diet comes in. You are not just persisting in the wish fulfilled, you are also guarding your inner conversations. Every time you entertain doubt, worry, or fear, you are feeding a different state. And the law does not respond to partial faith. It responds to dominant belief. Neville encouraged students to reject any thought that contradicts their desired reality. If you have assumed wealth, reject the thought of lack. If you have assumed love, reject the thought of abandonment. Your inner world must be disciplined. Letting go of asking is not about giving up. It's about moving into a deeper place, a place where you no longer ask because you've already received. You do not need to keep requesting what is already yours in imagination. You simply persist in living as though it is so. To trust the unseen is to understand the real source of reality. It is not the world of senses that gives birth to your experience. It is your inner state. The world you see is just a reflection, a delayed mirror, and so you do not need evidence to believe. You believe and then evidence must come. This trust becomes your stability. Even when nothing has changed outwardly, you maintain your state. You do not ask others what they think. You do not seek signs. You do not explain yourself. You simply continue to walk as the one who already is. That is true persistence. It's silent, it's still, and yet it is unshakable. Neville gave the example of imagining a letter received. You see the envelope, the handwriting, the stamp. You read the words, you feel the relief, you close your eyes and replay that moment until it becomes more real than the lack, and then you walk on. not hoping it happens, but knowing it's done. That is the essence of Feel It Real. It is an inward completion that refuses to be disturbed by outward delay. This is how you shift from trying to being, from effort to knowing, from chasing to embodying. You don't fight reality. You replace it. You withdraw from what is and invest fully in what you have claimed within. Neville said, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and continue in that assumption. He did not say continue to beg. He said continue to dwell. Your job is not to create through struggle, but to sustain through faith. Every time you feel tempted to doubt, go back within, reclaim the state, re-enter the end, and remind yourself that what you assume with feeling becomes fact, not because the world gives it to you, but because consciousness must outpicture itself. Persistence without effort is a spiritual posture. It's not a tactic, it's a way of being. You don't just think about your desire, you become the one who already has it. And in that being, all things flow, not as reaction, but as natural reflection. So the work is internal, the discipline is mental, the effort is in remaining loyal to your state, regardless of appearances. Ignore what contradicts your desire. Do not argue with the facts. Do not explain your position. Simply persist in the assumption and let the world reorganize itself around your inner truth. The secret of magnetic stillness is not found in striving or endless effort. It is found in assumption. Silent, powerful, invisible assumption. Neville Goddard taught that the world bends not to the loudness of your wanting, but to the quietness of your inner certainty. You do not need to chase what is yours. You do not need to run toward it with desperation. The truth is, when you assume its presence inwardly and dwell in its emotional reality, the outer world must mirror it. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the fullness of conviction. In that stillness, the mind is no longer searching, the heart is no longer pleading. There is only one truth. It is done. And when this truth is fully accepted, you no longer act from need. You act from knowing. You no longer seek, you reveal. Neville made it clear that you are not attracting things like a magnet from some distant realm. You are revealing what is already present in consciousness. You do not force a flower to bloom, you provide the right environment. And it opens. The same is true with manifestation. The flower of your desire blooms when your inner state becomes fertile with acceptance. Stillness is that environment. It is not passivity, it is mastery. To be still is to be certain, and in that certainty the world responds. When you are emotionally and mentally ready to receive, you don't have to prove anything. You don't have to announce your dreams or chase outcomes. The readiness is the signal. The readiness is the request, and the universe, or more accurately, your outer world of facts, must reflect that inner readiness. This is why Neville taught the power of silent assumption. Not begging, not pleading, not efforting, but entering the state, assuming its truth, and resting in it without disturbance. He called it living in the end, not wishing for the outcome, but living as though the outcome is already your reality. Daily practices make this possible. Sats, the state akin to sleep, is a doorway into the subconscious mind. As your body drifts towards sleep, your conscious resistance weakens. This is the perfect moment to plant a new seed. Imagine a scene that implies your wish is fulfilled, not as something that might happen, but as something already experienced. Feel it with your senses. Make it vivid. Hear the voice, touch the objects, see the result, and then fall asleep in that feeling. This is not just visualization, it is emotional embodiment. There is a difference between mentally rehearsing success and emotionally dwelling in it. Neville taught that you must feel it real. You must saturate your being with the emotion of fulfillment. The subconscious accepts what you feel to be true, not what you wish to be true. So you go beyond thought into emotion. You enter the identity of the one who already has what they once sought. Inner speech is another powerful tool. Throughout the day, Catch the dialogue within. Are you rehearsing problems or solutions? Are you imagining delays or arrivals? Are you talking to yourself from a place of lack or from a place of ownership? Revise your inner speech to match the life you desire. Talk as the one who already has. Neville said your inner conversations are the causes of the outer events in your life. You cannot afford to speak against your own blessing. Revision is the art of replacing inner resistance with inner agreement. If something unpleasant happened, do not let it crystallize in memory. Go back in imagination and rewrite it. See it how you wish it had happened. Feel the peace, the success, the resolution. You are not lying to yourself. You are directing your subconscious. And the subconscious, impressed with a new scene, will project new outcomes. Each revision is a seed. Each assumption is a cause. You are not reacting to life. You are shaping it from within. The outer world is only the echo. The real work is silent, invisible, emotional. Stop chasing. Start owning. The truth is that you don't need to run after anything. You only need to embody the state where it already exists. This is the essence of Neville's message. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to bypass all the effort of trying. You are no longer looking for evidence. You are no longer testing the waters. You are already on the other side. This state is not weak. It is not passive. It is powerful beyond measure. The one who rests in the truth does more than the one who labors in doubt. Manifestation does not reward strain. It reflects belief. So you rise not in exhaustion, but in alignment. You do not chase what you already have. You do not beg for what you are living. The truth is that the moment you enter the state and persist, your world begins to shift, sometimes quietly, sometimes quickly, but always faithfully. This is the secret of magnetic stillness. The world rushes toward the one who no longer chases. Results unfold for the one who has claimed them in silence. And in that stillness, the battle ends. There is nothing to fight, nothing to prove, nothing to grasp for. There is only the assumption and the persistence in that assumption. Neville said, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. He did not say, wish for it. He did not say, argue for it. He said, assume it. That word holds the power. Assume, meaning take it on, own it, wear it as your identity, and do not remove it, no matter what the outer world shows. Your work is inward. Your stillness is your magnet. Your certainty is your invitation. You are not attracting. You are revealing. You are not begging. You are becoming. You are not hoping. You are living. And from that stillness, all things unfold. So now the question is not how to chase it, but how to allow it, how to remain so inwardly stable, so deeply aligned with the feeling of your fulfilled desire that you no longer look outward for proof. You become the silent center from which all things unfold. No noise, no need, no effort, just knowing. You were never meant to strive endlessly. You were meant to know, to dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, and to let that inner knowing radiate through every corner of your life. This isn't about convincing the world. It's about convincing yourself. When you assume it's done, when you feel the truth of your desire is already real, the world has no choice but to mirror that state. This is not magic. It is law, the law of consciousness, the law of identity, the law of assumption. Stop chasing. Stop asking, where is it? Stop waiting for signs to tell you it's working. You are the sign. You are the cause. The change begins in you and expresses through the world, not from it. This is what Neville meant when he said, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It wasn't a metaphor. It was the blueprint. So now, the only action required is internal. Persist. Assume. Live as if it were already true. And keep silent. Because those who know don't explain. They don't seek permission. They don't broadcast their goals. They let the results do the talking. And now it's your time. If this message spoke to something deep inside of you, then don't let it end here. Like this video to affirm your shift. Let it be your declaration that from this moment forward, you choose inner mastery over external effort. And subscribe to your channel name for more teachings like this. Grounded, transformative, and rooted in the truth that all change begins in consciousness. Here we don't chase, we become. You don't need to be seen to be powerful. You don't need to be loud to be heard. You just need to persist. Faithfully, silently, completely. The rest will come to you.